Welcome friends to another r/entitled parents video. As always, if you enjoy this video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And our first story of the day is by Azar Anon, entitled Aunt Tries to Grab Me, So I Push Her Into the Pool. Background: I, 17, trans male, lives in a rural part of Quebec with my mother and sisters. This happened last week and I wanted to post it here. I had gotten my COVID vaccine yesterday and my arm was very sore from it, and it hurt when someone touched it. Saturday was my cousin's birthday. Keep in mind that he's 10. My aunt, our entitled parent, wanted everything to be perfect for her son. My mother and I were invited, and I had no choice but to follow. Now, something that you should know is that my aunt is homophobic, transphobic, religious, and an overall nasty woman. So we arrived at the party. It was a hot summer day, so it was a pool party. The party was gorgeous, beautiful decorations, cake, and snacks. When my aunt notices us and came to see my mother and I, it was clear she didn't recognize me at first. She said, "Oh, who's this?" Mom says, "This is OP, but we call him insert my new name." Entitled Aunt looks disgusted at that fact that I was no longer a girl, making a nasty remark at my clothes and hair. I was polite and said I was glad to see her, when I wasn't, and went to see my other cousin. We'll call him Ginger, who's the same age as me and not like his mother. Later at around 3, the party's fine and everything's okay. I can tell my aunt was staring at me in disgust, but I brushed it off. I was sitting by the pool watching the kids play when I hear the dreaded, "Excuse me, OP." I look behind me and see my aunt standing over me. I say, "Hey, entitled Aunt, do you need anything?" She says, "Yes, I want you to put this dress on and stop distracting the kids," she said as she handed me a tacky pink dress. I say, sorry, entitled Aunt, but I'm not gonna do that," as I put the dress on the nearby chairs. She says, "OP, you really shouldn't be out dressed like that in front of the children." Keep in mind, I was wearing shorts that stopped at my knees and a t-shirt. I say, "No, entitled Aunt, I don't have to listen to you," and I go to try and find my mom. Remember when I said my arm hurt a lot because of my vaccine? Well, entitled Aunt grabs right where I was vaccinated and squeezes. I yelp in pain, screaming for her to let go. She doesn't and keeps yelling how I'm a sin and I'm going to heck for this. I eventually free my arm and push out of reflex. She stumbles back into the pool and falls in, dressed and makeup on. She comes up and yells at me that I'm a monster and that I'm darned for heck. My mom comes over, having seen the whole thing, and tells my aunt that we're leaving. According to Ginger, after we left, my aunt sulked the whole party and said that I ruined her day. Keep in mind, it was her child's birthday party, not hers. Do you guys think for anybody in OP's position, if they get treated like they do with the dress being brought up to them and saying, "You should dress this way," would that behavior be worthy of just straight up leaving the party, maybe even just cutting off contact from them? Let me know in the comments down below. This next story is by Captain Party Cat. "That's my llama balloon, witch. My husband and I just had a baby. It's my birthday this weekend and we're both exhausted, so we're keeping things basic, but my husband insisted I have at least a birthday balloon. Usually we decorate a little for each other's birthday, but this year we're foregoing that. So we go to a local card shop and I choose a helium balloon in the shape of a llama. We tie it to the baby pram and go outside, where we encounter a couple with their child, maybe 4 or 5 years old, and the child's holding a plain pink balloon. The child sees my balloon and wants it. She tries to grab it, but she can't reach the pram's handle. The mother then insists we switch balloons as her kid clearly wants it and my baby's too young for a balloon. I said it's my birthday balloon, and the mother said, "Even better, you wouldn't mind giving it to my child," as she grabs the string and moves to untie it. My husband had enough, pushes the mother away, and says deadpan, "That's my llama balloon, witch." The end. Don't we all aspire to have a partner as awesome as OP's husband? Not only for stepping in and saying, "That's my llama balloon, witch," but also just the fact that they're like, "Hey, I know we're both tired, but I want to celebrate your birthday. You deserve to go out and get a birthday balloon. Doesn't have to be anything fancy or extravagant. We'll just have a little celebration, and you can have a llama balloon thing." Our next story is by Amraf. "Quit your job and raise my kid. My sister-in-law, brother's wife, is a piece of work. High maintenance and demanding to the extreme. She'll demand things from my parents, to which they say no, and then she gets mad, refuses to talk to them, and takes it out on my brother until he calls up my parents to ask they apologize because it's making his life a living heck. Years ago when they had their first kid, my niece, my parents were elated at their first grandchild. Sister-in-law's mom isn't in the picture, so my mom was very attentive to sister-in-law, helping her shop for the baby, being a supportive shoulder, even offering advice and insight into pregnancy, labor, and birth. Sister-in-law lavished in the attention and things were golden until sister-in-law went to go back to work. I was at my parents' house visiting when the phone rings. Dad answers, listens for a few, and then simply says, "I'm not getting in the middle of them, talk to your mother," and he hands the phone to my mom. She listens a bit and then says, "Well, I'm sorry, but I'm just not okay with her plan. I'm not going to apologize and I'm not quitting my job, that's the end of it," and she hangs up. Of course, I had to demand details. Sister-in-law was going back to her job and called my mom up a day or two prior to this to discuss childcare. She told my mom about the daycare she had checked out and how expensive they all were and what a struggle it was going to be. But then she had a brilliant idea. My mom should become a full-time nanny for niece. Of course, she would have to quit her job, but since she's only 5 years from retirement, it's not a big deal. My mom graciously informed her that while she loved watching niece, she was not going to quit her job. Cue hissy fit. But the only other person who could do it is sister-in-law's 90-year-old grandma, but she could only watch niece at her house because she's 90 and doesn't drive. And she has too many pets, 3 of which were sister-in-laws that she dumped on her. Daycare is so expensive. Don't you want the quality time with niece? Mom suggested maybe sister-in-law find a cheaper daycare. No, Montessori daycares are the absolute best. Mom pointed out she's never even heard of that, so there's no way her childcare would be Montessori. Mom suggested sister-in-law go back to working part-time, and then daycare would only have to be part-time, and thus cheaper. No, if she wants to stay on track for her retirement goals, she needs to go back full-time. Mom ran out of advice and finally just said, "Well, then I think you're going to need to lower your standards or find another option, because I'm not quitting my job and that's final," and hung up on her. My mom was not happy at how hard I laughed. And of course, when I had my kid a few years later, I jokingly asked how close she was to retirement because I needed a nanny. Considering what was being asked of her, I think OP's mom was more than graceful. Graceful's putting it lightly. The fact that OP's mom wasn't like, "Wait, are you legitimately serious?" is actually kind of impressive. I think it's totally justifiable to get kind of upset over being asked to quit your job 5 years before your retirement to stop what you're doing and raise somebody else's child for them. It's good to see her stand up for herself, but in a very kind and polite way. This next story is by Tatterhood78. "You're my son's girlfriend's sister, so you must do as I say. My sister is married to a man with a stay-at-home mom who has decided that adulthood through middle age is still too early to stop overparenting her children, and is also very opinionated about what everyone else should be doing, especially when it comes to parenting because she's wonderful at it apparently. To keep the peace, people in my family let her get away with it. I don't. This greatly upsets her. Back when our children were in elementary school, and before sis and hubby were formally married, we all lived in the same neighborhood. I'd go to my sister's for a visit and afterwards, we'd both walk to the school to pick them up at the end of the day. The mother-in-law insisted on coming too. Sis didn't think it was a hill to die on, so I kept my mouth shut. One day, her overly critical highness decided that she did not like my child's coat and that we needed to fix that, meaning that I would have to spend my money to buy another that met her approval. I loved the coat and also didn't give a crap about her preferences, so I told her that there was no need to talk about it. She kept it up constantly for almost a week because comments like, "I don't care if you like it or not, I'm not your kid and even if I were, I'd still tell you to back off," were too vague for her to get the hint that I wasn't going to be pushed around. I tried ignoring her, tried changing the subject, she was just fixated. So finally, I turned around and told her flat out that I did not give two freaking poops in space what she liked, and that it was none of her freaking business. We're not even related. She got fed up with my stubbornness and advanced on me, poking me hard in the chest over and over. "I don't care if you're related to me or not, you're my son's girlfriend's sister and you'll do what I tell you to." I warned her to not make physical contact again, and she started screaming and sobbing, telling everyone in a 2-mile radius that she was being harassed and threatened just because she was trying to be helpful. I laughed and walked on while she was being comforted. An hour later, I had over 20 calls and texts from people telling me to apologize to her to keep the peace, suggesting strongly that I should go out and buy another coat immediately so that she wouldn't be upset anymore, even one threatening to cash me outside. My sister's been with her husband for 25 years, so I have tons of stories about this woman. Like one about the time my nephew and nieces couldn't come to my daughter's birthday party because I refused to invite her and my sister's boyfriend's mother's nephew's son. Or the time my baby shower was canceled because I preferred to have my friends as guests instead of my sister's boyfriend's mother's mother plus mother-in-law plus sister-in-laws, almost all of whom I'd never met. Or the time there was a Royal Rumble elimination style verbal cage match, 1 against 12, because I decided to use my tax refund for dental care instead of a TV. Or the family blow up because I refused to give her half of the bottles of shampoo I had bought at half price. I don't know what this lady has done to make everybody around her so submissive. They're really gonna throw a hissy fit and act like that, and then everybody comes out of the woodworks like, please, for the love of God, just say you're sorry, say you're wrong. It's like, what blackmail does this lady hold over you guys? And our final story of the day is by Delays. Entitled Mom says she's going to sue school for daughter being late to exam. This story happened years ago, and I remembered it for some reason. I didn't witness what happened, but I heard many stories about it. In my country, admission to universities is done through exams, and in the case of this university, the best in the country, it's done once a year. No matter what the reason, if you're not going to take the exam, you'll have to wait a year to try again. That's why it's emphasized a lot to get there early, and the university suggests arriving 30 minutes in advance. As the exam would not be applied in my city, my cramming school rented a bus for its students to go. We arrived 3 hours early, parked the bus legally at the back of the block where the exam was to be held, and waited until the gate opened, which would happen an hour before the exam. When the gate was opened and everyone could enter, the room where I would take the exam soon was almost full, and only 2 people entered with half an hour before an exam. Everyone knows you have to get there early, because when the gates close, it actually closes. But some minutes, not seconds, after the gate was closed, this girl and her mother appeared. They started to make a big fuss. According to them, the bus from my cramming school, or maybe one from the same franchise, was parked in the middle of the street, and they were waiting behind it? The mother screamed that she would sue the cramming school, and out of nowhere the girl jumped the school wall and ran, but was caught by the security guards. They were screaming so loud that those taking exams in the rooms closest to the entrance could hear them both, and there was a large garden between. And the parents who were there waiting for their kids to finish the exam were more than willing to share the gossip with those who leave. Apparently this takes place in Brazil. All things being considered, considering this is probably the most important day in any kid's schooling experience for their future, at least for an entire year, I feel like no matter what, there is zero excuses for not showing up on time, especially when OP clarifies that they say show up half an hour early. You tell me I got one chance to take it this entire year, and you tell me to show up half an hour early, I'm gonna show up half an hour early. If there's heavy traffic, and you're sitting there and the minutes are ticking by getting closer and closer, you shouldn't just be sitting in your car, you should be getting out and speed walking up to that gate. The people holding the exam aren't liable for traffic. But with that being said, that's a wrap on another bunch of stories here today. As always, if you guys have any favorite videos of this bunch, let me know which one in the comments down below and why. And if you enjoyed the stories in general, if you could subscribe to this channel, it'd mean a lot to me. I make these videos daily, and it's by far and away the best way to support my channel. So no matter what you did, whether it was subscribing or liking, leaving a comment, I just appreciate the heck out of you guys. And as always, I'll be back tomorrow with even more stories right here on the Storytime channel.